Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the podcast Strikes Back. My name is George and you're listening to the weekly movie show with the boys Connor. Holy crap.
Got me mid-yawn.
Jesus, and Benny. How senile is this guy getting, man?
Oh, fuck,
Jeez.
man. Once I lost my hair, I was like, it's all over from here.
The life
I'm just going to
cycle
lean into it.
is accelerating. Folks, thanks for
fucking hell,
tuning in. It's so nice to be here back on a Tuesday. We've been alternating days and we're back to normal. It's nice to be here. We got some Star Wars news coming up. Palpatine, we've got a little bit more news about him. What the fuck happened in episode 9? We're going to be discussing that at length. And I'm sure these guys, particularly Benny, is excited to talk about that one. We also got some news about Steven Spielberg, Indiana Jones 5, question of the week. Some great questions this week. I'm really excited. Hey, this is awesome. And we've got our Invisible Man review up right now, so go check that out. And let's, before we get into news and stuff, let's catch up on what everyone's seen this week. Benny,
I just want to first point out,
you saw something.
George, your enthusiasm level is always this high. It's always podcast introduction high.
Yeah.
He's not putting that on. That's just George.
It's constantly opens up the door. Hey, guys. Welcome to my apartment.
Hey, guys, got a great apartment for you today.
Got a little cat over there.
Just had a
He's pretty
vacuum.
cute. There's been no vacuuming done whatsoever. Well, thanks.
Do you
Listen,
own a vacuum?
I do. Like, I really enjoy this podcast. You know, for whatever goals we can strive to go with and whatever objective we're trying to achieve. I just enjoy seeing these movies every week and chatting about it with you guys.
That's why we're all here.
First and foremost. So I'm always excited.
Speaking of seeing movies, shall I jump in first?
Pass the buck.
Speaking of movies that you didn't come and see.
Yes, so I mentioned last week I've been catching the Fantastic Film Festival Australia. That's just wrapped up in Sydney. Just a bunch of great films I saw. I think I'll be talking maybe about a couple of them later in the year. One I did get a chance to watch again was Saint Maud, which I mentioned last week. And the second viewing somehow blew the first one away. I saw it with Connor. It was just a fantastic experience. I really, really love that film. We'll be talking about the trailer a little later on, so we can maybe save that one. But I also watched a really cool film on Netflix that I completely passed under my radar in 2018 called Thoroughbreds, starring Anya Taylor-Joy. It's basically about two college-age girls who basically conspire to kill one of their stepfathers. It is incredibly dark, quite amusing in its own way as well. One of them is essentially showing all the signs of being a pretty high-level sociopath, and it's hinted very early on that she did something to her pet horse that is kind of hanging over a lot of the film. It's a very cool watch. I think one of the best films from 2018 that I never saw or heard of at the time.
Yeah, didn't we review this, the trailer?
Maybe, yeah. I think I knew something about it.
Hedges and...
There's hedges in it. It's mostly about hedges.
Hedges?
Yeah. It's actually, the full title is Thoroughbreds, Hedges, Hedges, Hedges. Get your hedges.
Dude, that's why I remember it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, sorry. I should have given the
No,
whole
was there a
title.
hedge in the movie, in all seriousness?
Look, I'm not gonna be able to confirm or deny that was.
What the fuck are you talking about?
There was.
Answer me, Ben. Were there hedges?
What about the hedges?
Should I get a bit more descriptive with the hedge? Maybe
Talking about?
The George rating system is 5 out of 5 hedges.
Yeah.
That's
It's on a scale of 0 to 7.
Christ.
hedges. I'm sorry, I can't answer your question. All I can say is this has hit Australian Netflix, and it's really, really worth a watch.
Cool.
Okay, cool.
And that's
Sounds
certainly for the week.
scary.
It's intense.
How did you find St. Maud, Connor?
Jesus. Are you done, Ben?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So, like I mentioned, I can't really talk too much about Saint Maud because I feel like the really great aspects of this film are ones that are best left kind of unspoken about unless you're doing like a really, in-depth spoiler review. So the only thing I can really say about it is it's definitely well worth a watch. Stick with it. It's a bit of a slow burn, but it's not a long film. So, yeah, I the first 20 minutes, I wasn't 100% convinced, but the last half of this movie more than makes up for that. I think this is like really spectacular.
If I could just contextualize Connor's mini review there, this is a movie that Connor was exceptionally primed to dislike.
It has all the hallmarks.
We'd seen a trailer for it, a trailer that said this was like the next thing in horror.
I thought I hadn't seen a trailer for it.
We
So I went into this not knowing what it was about.
Fair enough, but it is one of those movies that is your typical kind of A24, scariest movie ever made. The next evolution in horror,
right? Because it's like
they distribute it in the States.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I would sooner go watch Hereditary or what's the other one that came out recently? Midsummer, yeah.
Ari Aster.
They have like I don't want to say a sheen to it, but there's like a mark of like, I don't know,
There's a
quality
mark of
about
excellence,
them.
isn't there?
Yeah.
It's got that HBO sort of.
Whereas
gold
this
standard.
one, from what little I knew, kind of felt to me to be a little bit more, I mean, it was Fantastic Film Festival. They're all going to be off the beaten track a little bit. And I find those really hit and miss with me. But this one was definitely hit.
A bit more like a handheld cinematography style, less polished. Because it looked beautiful, but it looked like a little more.
I would say incredibly polished.
Mhm.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
This felt really polished.
This is one of those ones that you watch and you're like, how is that a first time director? I'm watching this person for the rest of their career.
I was really impressed. I'm assuming it was a fairly low budget, and for what they pulled off with the low budget,
definitely.
that's really impressive. I've got to be honest. So, yeah. I actually watched quite a few other things. First and foremost was I Am Not Okay With This, which is a Netflix series. I think it's 10 episodes based off a graphic novel. It's about a young girl growing up in a small town, in that period of her life where I think she's like mid-high school. It has all the hallmarks of being that kind of, I'm a teenager growing up, my body's changing, and all the hallmarks of something that I probably wouldn't like. Just because it's been done to death. It even has that kind of self-narrating style where she's the narration is this style of her writing in her diary. So I mean, it couldn't be more
Cliche
if you it just couldn't. But there's a gimmick in this that I think makes this well worth it, which is that she is having this kind of mental breakdown where she thinks that she's getting superpowers, and there's a bit of unreliable narrator as to whether these, at least in the beginning, as to whether these superpowers are real or not. It's very kind of allegorical, but also brings into the mix a very interesting aspect of it. So yeah, I ended up really enjoying this. We pumped through all 10 episodes this week, and it's set up for a couple more seasons.
I've heard good things about this one.
Yeah,
I've heard the episodes are very short. It's kind of just like a movie.
Yep. It's just the episodes are well structured.
23 minutes or
23 or 30.
Even if it's shorter, aren't they?
I don't even, to be honest, I
Sort
don't
of
know.
Mandalorian length?
They don't feel long.
Okay.
It's very, very consumable. The episodes fit nicely together. Like they are their own thing, but it's one big story, which is what I absolutely love about kind of these modern series, which you can consume them one at a time and it's perfectly fine, but you can also choose to consume them 3 or 4 at a time and it works.
Is there anything top of mind that you would compare it to? Close comparison?
It's from the creator of End of the Fucking World, isn't
It's
it?
very similar to that in its kind of style, like it's kids growing up, finding themselves type thing. Narration style is very similar as well, but I mean, it did remind me a little of It, and not just because it has 2 of the main actors in it. So the main girl out of It Chapter 1, she's the main girl in this.
Okay.
She's really spectacular. And one of the boys, I can't remember
Bill.
his name. Yeah, is in
The-
this as well. And
the
they play
main
off each other
guy.
really well.
Mm.
Look, well worth a check. It's kind of mindless entertainment with a little bit of a twist on it. It's pretty cool.
Sweet.
I also was feeling a Villeneuve itch, and I had a plethora of movies to choose from to scratch that itch. So I revisited Sicario, and I showed my fiance that for the first time.
Dark. That's some dark shit, man.
It is a dark film and confusing as fuck. I mean, I've watched it now probably 3 or 4 times, and the questions that my fiance was asking me, I was like, oh yeah, like the only reason I'm getting this is because I've watched this several times. I feel like it's just, if you don't know about the context in which this is being, or the context of, Medians and all that kind of stuff, it's kind of lost.
But I don't think. I think this film's punch comes in like the real ominous vibe and the subject
Well,
matter.
that's it, right? Yeah.
There's like all these little plot details and sort of twists and relationships that form, but it's sort of inconsequential. You could sort of like, if I understood those details, does the film become more impactful?
For me, it's much more it's the atmosphere that is
the presentation
that makes this film worth watching. Just the soundtrack. Johan Johannesson, that's how you say his name, right?
I remember leaving the cinema for that one and just feeling so like the oppressive nature of the subject matter and the darkness in the score and the sort of the drones. Like it really stuck with me, and I was like, I almost felt like I was hitting with that subwoofer in my chest, and it was just a very impactful
it's an aggressive film, and not aggressive as in like Saving Private Ryan is aggressive. It's aggressive in the sense that it is unrelenting in this kind of
quite nihilistic
anxiety and nihilism.
It doesn't really make you feel like going to Mexico or America at all, I think.
It doesn't. Anyways, that's what I watched this week.
Nice one. I am about 3/4 of the way through that Flat Earther doco on Netflix.
I thought you had started that ages ago and then turned it off or something like that.
Maybe I did, but at this time I've just got to polish off the last little bit. But it's such a fascinating look into these people's lives, and there's a part of the film where these guys are conducting this experiment, and they keep getting answers that concludes that the Earth is a sphere, and they're like, oh, okay, we have to go to the next. How can we go to the next thing? To like they end up at a conclusion, and they reverse engineering the science, which is not the way it needs to go. It needs to go exactly the opposite way. And it's just such an interesting into human psychology and a world where religion and religion is less impactful. So people are attaching themselves to different other types of quote unquote religions. And this is definitely, something that's just taking over these people's lives. And it's fascinating,
Something I thought was really interesting about that documentary is that it looked as though to me it was trying to present a different kind of solution. And the movie actually calls out people like deGrasse Tyson for his kind of marginalizing this group as, crazy idiots. And I think that this takes the stance of like, look, people want to believe something. They're looking for a sense of belonging. And if you marginalize people, if you don't give them a space to express their ideas and an openness to have a conversation, then they're going to go off into their own little world, and they're going to, come together and just kind of reinforce each other.
This echo chamber.
And I think that they did a really good job of presenting more the human side of like why people are a part of this group. And the main guy in it said, they asked him like, what if you found out that, or what if you stopped believing? Would you tell people? He's like, I wouldn't have a life. I would effectively, like, there's no situation in which I could possibly tell people that the Earth is actually round. It's just not like, it's not an option for him. And you kind of realize like, this is people's identity. This is like how people, get by day to day.
It's like a priest realizing or coming to this epiphany that there is maybe no God, and just continuing their sermons and preaching.
Like what would you do at that point? Like,
exactly.
You're if you're
that far down,
No one wants to admit they're wrong.
It's it's the human psychology of it, and these people wanting to exactly have a sense of belonging.
If all your friends were part of this group, if all your identity was part of this group, and you like admit, like if you're like, would you throw that away? Like that's, for most people, that's the most insane thing you could possibly ask them to do. So I like the way that this documentary approached it, of like some level of sympathy.
And also the irony of the whole time I was thinking just the irony of how abundant we are in the volume of information in 2020, and there's so much misinformation
Whatever kind of information you want, baby.
Yeah, you can twist it and.
It's no dumber than us all sitting here fighting about space wizards and shit.
I mean, that's
Yeah, maybe you're right.
Speaking of which,
We got some space wizard news.
let's start fighting about some space wizards.
Fuck yes.
So it's come out this week in the Rise of Skywalker novelization that Palpatine in that film is indeed a clone.
Dun dun dun.
So the movie, in failing to give us any information regarding where he came from or how he survived previously.
yeah, they did.
Dominic
They
Monaghan.
very clearly said he's back.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yes. But now,
and Dominic Monaghan has a line. What are you doing?
What the fuck?
What are you doing, mate?
What?
Hi, Siri.
What are you doing, mate?
That was a new one.
What were we talking about? Oh yeah, Dominic Monaghan's character has a line in the film where he's like, "The dark arts, cloning, the Sith are back" or something. You know, like,
I don't
and
even think he goes far.
that can somehow be related to
Yeah,
this.
first of all, he's like, the dark, lost Sith art of cloning. He's like, remember the Clone Wars like 20 years ago? You dumb shit. That was like a Jedi thing.
So this is taken straight out of the expanded universe, or
It's similar, yeah. The book, the excerpt makes it very clear that it is the like original spirit of Darth Sidious, of Palpatine, in a new clone body. So it's not just like a
That's
separate
a new clone
being.
body?
yeah, and
That is struggling
deteriorates.
under the power of the spirit.
It's
It's deteriorating, yeah.
Yeah, it's deteriorating at a rapid rate.
So, no.
Yeah, I think this...
Just no. This
I think-
is so ridiculous.
I think this adds absolutely nothing. It's just like a little knee-jerk reaction to the film. But at the same time, it's no stupider than anything else in that movie. So
I mean, this is the problem, right? I came out of the theater quite happy with that film in the sense of like it was visually spectacular and it was a fun time.
breezy, it
and-
was enjoyable.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. But the more removed I get from that actual watching of the movie, and the more I have to think about where that leaves us in terms of a universe and a storyline and all that, the more I'm just genuinely dissatisfied with it.
Yeah, I completely know what you mean. So
Which is odd because it's the exact opposite of the prequels, which is the farther I get away from watching the films, the more favorable I think about them because the main plot points are fine.
The fuzzier the actual quality of the movie.
Yeah,
the world building is that great. Well,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
world building in the sequel trilogy is non-existent, really.
Yeah.
It's just sort of rehashed original trilogy
Reheated.
stuff. New X-wing, new TIE fighter. It's sort of a lick of paint.
New
you
Darth Vader.
What was that?
Lick of paint. So wait, so can we just quickly kind of just go through this beat by beat? So Vader tosses Sidious down a chute.
Mhm.
Spirit obviously lives on. Maybe that actual white sort of blue essence that rushes up from the Death Star pit. Maybe that's his essence, and then
We'll get
that
that in the
somehow
novelization.
gets to Exegol. Or those dudes that were looking after the Snoke clones. Those dudes somehow got it, put it into a Palpatine. He kind of just chilled for 30 years, and then
So how is
boom, I'm back, baby.
Snoke a clone as well then?
It's probably just a puppet or something.
So wait, but I thought they said it was a clone. Looks
But am I
nothing
right?
like
am
him.
I right? Was that correct with that?
I mean,
I'm sure, but we don't know. It doesn't
Yes.
explain it that much. It just says he's a clone.
you've basically just said at one point he was on the Death Star and then at the other he's at Exegol, which
Yeah,
is
like it has to be something like that. But
that explains nothing.
I know
And-
that's no more necessary to he's back than just you just watch it and have to assume that he somehow got there. Like saying he's a clone doesn't really make it any more plausible in any way.
It doesn't make more sense.
It's just underwhelming, man.
It doesn't make any less sense, but I mean,
Yeah. It's exactly as fun and dumb as everything else in that movie.
I'm not sure, man. I'm kind of in your camp, Connor. The more I get away from this film, the more it's pissing me off.
I'm the same. I'm not like I
I genuinely enjoyed that.
so did
screening.
I. So absolutely
I had
so
the
did I.
best time.
I really think it's a very fun movie. I just think it's really, really, really dumb. But as I said, when I finally figured out why I enjoyed the movie so much, it was because I'd given up any hope of the movie being any good. I just had no faith in J.J. Abrams delivering a proper sequel to a movie I actually liked and thought showed some real promise within the universe. So when I saw something that it was at least exceptionally well made and really enjoyable, I was like, that'll do. But fuck, it's dumb.
Yeah. I'm still thinking about that Trevara episode 9. That just really does sound fucking awesome.
Yeah, that was really interesting.
We've also got a little bit of Star Wars news. The High Republic, a suite of novels and comics and other things are coming up. And this is a new period in the Star Wars universe that I don't think has ever been explored before. Prime time of the Republic, and hence the name High Republic, 200 years before the Phantom Menace, I believe. And it's sort of like very Arthurian, Knights of the Round Table kind of vibe. The main concern with this is each individual graphic novel or book has a whole new separate group of characters. So we've got 30 odd characters, maybe 5 main characters to be introduced here. I'm just not sure that's the best way to go about it.
Why not?
When we look at Star Wars, that core group of characters is very important. You can have your Rogue One, you can have your Solo, you can have your all these things going on, and you can build this patchwork of a universe. But I feel as though where Star Wars is really working was when Finn, Poe, Rey, they're all on this adventure together and we're following these guys. Same with Luke, Han, Leia, even as much to say as Obi-Wan and Anakin. I think we're going to get this new era and all these different characters, and maybe, there's going to be a trilogy of this, a trilogy of that. But would it have been better to sort of do like a Mandalorian approach? Like, here's this main character, or maybe there's 5 or so main characters or something, and we're following them, and then we can branch off as we go along. Right now, it's starting there's so much breadth to it that I'm just, how different are all these characters going to be from one another? How unique are they going to be?
I think that if you are going to take that approach, this is kind of the perfect time or way to do it. If you're talking about novelizations, I mean, you can, I kind of like that idea. Like, just explore the time period, explore the world. Like, you don't need to really. I think this is a good opportunity to do some world building without having to introduce major characters.
Yeah, listen,
it's not necessary.
Let's hope, because I just think that the writing that these guys are doing right now is not up to the standard where we're going to be able to have that many great characters and unique attributes and storylines.
Are the Star Wars novels usually of a quality of writing that is,
there's
fantastic?
Claudia Gray is writing one of these, and this is her 4th or 5th Star Wars novel. Like, people love her stuff.
But in terms of,
but I think it's a different type of Star Wars fan. A Star Wars person who's in the comics and the novels.
And I love that. I love the idea of of having an expanded universe that goes over multiple mediums and
totally
expands upon the existing franchise. I think that's brilliant. But and that's why I think this is a perfect opportunity. If you want to pepper 5 different novels with 5 different main characters and however many supporting characters, I think this is a brilliant way to do it.
Do you think Lucasfilm have the ability to deliver on the concept? So the concept, tick that box, like, cool, this is a great opportunity, but you read 5 of these graphic novels and books and it's like, I don't remember any of these motherfuckers, and there was that potentially is where my head is at. And and a scenario that I think it could fall.
As much as we talk about wanting to see them do new things and explore new areas and stuff, I haven't looked into this at all. It doesn't hold my interest whatsoever. I know that when I hear that, like the Kylo Ren prequel comic book or something, I'll hear really cool things about that run, and that gets me really interested. Or like some stuff about Obi-Wan on Tatooine, or the Darth Vader comic I heard was sick. Whereas this doesn't really have any hook for me. I heard there's another Baby Yoda in this. Is that true?
I'm not sure.
Don't know. I mean,
somebody let us know.
Personally, I I tend to stick with Star Wars for like movies and games. Like that for me is kind of where I get my Star Wars fix. If I'm going to read something, there's a lot of other books or franchises that I would probably
Completely
rather
agree.
gravitate towards. This feels more like if I really wanted to, I could go up on the Wikipedia page and just kind of like delve into the extended universe if I have to.
I think that's the absolute
If
farthest
I
any
want
of
to.
us would go
Yeah.
into this.
Which is not to knock the idea of having a novelization of the extended universe. I think that's fine, but in this circumstance, I have absolutely no problem with this.
Will you be reading or watching?
As I said, no.
Any of these
It just
comics?
doesn't hold any interest for me.
Yeah,
It's not how I consume Star Wars.
I'm not going to be in there either. I'm just movie and TV. Boom.
Well, you can't read, so
Oh, yeah. I
Now,
mean, that's
you've watched some of
point
the new Clone Wars, right? Disney
yeah, I
Plus?
watched the first episode.
You didn't seem to.
you were so pumped for it,
Dude, I'm going to
George.
cancel my Disney Plus subscription. Yeah.
There was such like a push.
Yeah,
To, like,
I
keep
gave
it
it a
for
crack,
this.
dude. I gave it a crack. I'll watch episode 2. Let's see how it goes. If it's any improvement. If not, see ya.
So was it like worse than the original series? Or
Nah,
what?
it's same,
the
and it
same.
just doesn't work for me, you
Mm.
know. And I want to love it so much.
Mm.
I'm desperate to get what other people get out of this show.
I was always in that camp.
I just can't. It just seems just too
Shit. Garbage.
what he said.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Moving on.
Lucasfilm. There's more to be said.
Next up, breaking news. Steven Spielberg has stepped down as the director of Indiana Jones 5, and James Mangold is apparently in talks to take over. Now, we've basically ignored all information about Indy 5 on this show because I don't think any of us really care too much about the franchise or where it's going.
I am a bit of a fan of the original 3. I quite enjoy
4.
those. I said 3.
There's 3 movies. It's very strange that they
George-
skip straight to 5.
I know what the fuck I said.
See, whereas I'm in the camp where I don't think 4 is all that much worse than any of the other 3.
That's ridiculous. Come on.
Call me crazy.
You're crazy.
I've-
No.
I think it's like the way I feel about Indiana Jones is kind of how I think a lot of people who come to Star Wars later in life feel. Just like don't quite get it, man. And I love some of those. I love some of those scenes in Indiana Jones with like this supernatural elements. Like there's some really fucking awesome stuff in there. But I've never really been that amped to chuck it on, and I'm not that big of an indie fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I don't love or hate any of them.
No.
And that's I'm someone who like Spielberg is arguably my favorite director. And that's just one of his series of films I've never gotten into.
National Treasure over Indiana Jones.
Let's not get crazy.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
I don't
100%.
That makes me uncomfortable.
And the idea of him stepping down from this movie is I think mostly a positive thing because obviously his heart wasn't in the last one. And I'm saying this as someone who thinks he's still making a lot of really good movies and a lot of really bad movies like BFG, which I never actually
Ready
saw,
Player
and
One.
Ready Player One, which was horrific. But Bridge of Spies was fantastic, and that was pretty recent. I loved Lincoln. I loved the hell out of Lincoln. But I don't think he wants to be doing this movie. I think the only one who wants these things to go ahead is maybe the studio who thinks they can get some money, and Harrison Ford, who actually seems attached to this character. But yeah, we've heard lately there's a lot of delays going on with this movie. It's been like delayed and delayed
It's
and
supposed
delayed.
to come out in 2019.
Yeah, which is nuts. And Harrison Ford's like 96 years old at this point.
Isn't this new movie meant to lose like $50 million or 500? I don't know.
Oh,
What
he's
is
the
the
dog
one.
the dog movie. Yeah, that looks
God.
awful.
So this will be the first Indiana Jones not directed by Spielberg, if we're not counting young Indiana Jones and all that crap.
Yeah, which we're not, of course.
James Mangold sounds like a great choice. I mean, Logan.
310 to Yuma.
Good times.
Night and Day, I think, is bad, but some people seem to like it.
I think
Ford v Ferrari, so he's
yeah.
coming off a high, obviously.
there was those. I would like to see. Can he do? Will he bring more of a sophisticated edge to it? Because Indiana Jones has got that pulpiness. Like it's all about that swashbuckling adventure. You know, if you bring Indiana Jones, like do a Logan, I just don't think that works. Maybe it does. You know, with a specific vision. maybe that can work. But sort of announcing that out.
No, fuck it, man. Just remake Logan.
don't
I want
know.
Indy as Logan. I want Mutt Williams, Shia LaBeouf as X-23. By the way, I saw Honey Boy last week. I didn't mention that. The new Shia LaBeouf film.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, the story of his growing up in Hollywood as a young actor. He plays his own father, essentially, in the film.
Otis.
It was amazing. It was fantastic. Just amazing performances all around. I would legitimately be more interested in Indy 5 if they bring back Shia LaBeouf, because I want to see what they would do with that character. Because I think he's due for his popular comeback. I think critically everyone's kind of on board with him now.
Yeah.
But I don't want to sit through
I be
a
honest?
full movie of Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones.
I
again.
never left Shia LaBeouf. I've always been on that
Oh,
train.
100%. dude.
Transformers 3, baby.
Like, just even when he was fucking losing his mind and he was an artiste and all that kind of stuff, I was like, fuck, man, this is entertainment.
Even with Transformers 2 and 3 or whatever, I was like, at least the dude's getting paid.
Yeah.
You know, I've been following that guy since Holes. And what was that? I was probably 11 years old or something.
even Stevens, man.
Like,
Come
I felt
on.
like and Disturbia as well. Yeah, see, I don't go back that far. But Disturbia and Holes.
Constantine.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I've grown up with the guy, you know.
Oh,
Love you, Shia.
he's that friend who just kind of falls off the rails and
And
gets
you're like,
into some
hey, it's
weird
okay
shit.
to fall off the rails. you
Yeah,
know?
you're back, baby. You're back.
Well, I mean, maybe not quite as far as he went, but
Watch your own movies and just sob for.
Anyway, this is
I
how
was
little
more
I
talking
else.
about like the arrests and that kind of stuff.
all the weird plagiarism.
Yeah.
This is how little I care about Indiana Jones that this has just turned into a recommendation for Honey Boy. Go see it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
No, look, I
got nothing to say about Indiana Jones.
I like Indiana Jones. I'm not sure that it's one of those properties that can really be remade or continued on, mostly because, as you said, it was very pulpy at the time. So yeah, watch this space, I suppose.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Next up is probably the biggest story that we'll have the littlest to say about that we've probably ever had on the show, because it's very business side of things. But Disney Parks chairman Bob Chapek is replacing Bob Iger as Disney CEO. Iger will remain on board as the company's executive chairman until 2021. So that's 15 years of being the head of Disney for Iger. He's overseen the purchase of Pixar, Lucasfilm, Marvel, the launch of Disney Plus, obviously, and the acquisition of Fox. The biggest purchase ever. It's like
Incredible
$70 billion.
stuff.
So yeah, he's Birth Movies Death actually ran a really interesting article this week. I want to
saw
see
that.
if I can find the actual title of it. It's essentially how Bob Iger built a magic kingdom into an evil empire. It's a really I think necessary take on what Disney has become, but well researched, well handled. But obviously an amazing career for this guy in charge of that company.
Yeah, if you look at from the internal side of things, if you're a board member at Disney or you were just looking at the success of the company, like he's just swung for the fences and it's gone out of the stadium, man. Like,
I mean, just for some
incredible.
numbers, Pixar, they bought for $7 billion, obviously paid for itself. Marvel and Lucasfilm, they bought for both $4 billion. Can
And
you imagine
Steve-
the return they've had on those?
And Steve Jobs advised Bob Iger to not purchase Iron Man after watching Iron Man 2. I mean, purchasing Marvel.
Yeah.
And, he had the vision. He knows about IP. He knows about brand. He's built a great team there and they're smashing it. I mean, $10 billion at the box office last year. Unheard of.
Insane. And he's jumping out at a good time because this year's not going to be that year.
No. So he's like, I'm the fuck out of here.
Sorry, second Bob.
So, we'll see what this other dude has, but like, how much more can you do? How many
Sit
more?
back and watch the money
How
fly
many
in.
more things? Like, what's this next
Do you know what I
phase
reckon
for Disney?
he's seeing in the future? Regulatory boards rearing their head, looking at fucking Disney, being like,
Yeah,
you know what? Maybe not.
the 2025 Disney Wars.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I would not
Facts
be surprised in the next 5 years if the regulatory boards go into Disney and tear it the fuck up.
Disney's too powerful for that, man.
No, I mean,
fucking
that's what
own
they
all
said
that
about
shit.
the Big Four. That's what they said about that's what they said about a number of monopolies that have been torn up. I mean, as soon as I would not be surprised. I'm not saying it is going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised in the next 5 years if they look at Disney and be like, nah.
I think we're all going to be walking around with Disney tattooed on our forehead in a few years, but
Can't wait.
Hopefully it goes your way.
Send me the money.
The fun fact, I thought this is only the 7th chairman of Disney.
Okay.
That just seems like a low number. Like they must stay around for a long time.
Like a quick point on that though. I don't think they've done enough to avoid that. So things like Facebook have. So if you look at Facebook and their kind of general tech monopoly that they're creating, they have been really clever in the way that they have integrated all their apps and purchases. Like Instagram is now kind of becoming more and more by the day integrated with Facebook. Same thing with WhatsApp. Same thing with like all that kind of stuff. And so when the regulatory boards come knocking, they'll be like, we can't split this up. This is all part of the same platform. Fuck, you look at Disney right now. It is super easy. Fucking Star Wars go over there, Marvel go over there, Fox go over there, Disney, you do your thing. Easy. I don't think they've done enough to avoid it. I reckon give it 5 years.
Man, I reckon if they let them buy Fox, they're not going to stop anything. That was
those. I mean, yeah,
it needs to be, and then a generational shift comes through, and then maybe they get that kind of thing happens. But 5 years, that's quite a short amount of time. Maybe 20,
I mean, not
maybe
for this
20,
kind of thing.
Maybe
all it takes is like a change in personnel at the. I'm trying to think of the American regulatory board for this kind of thing. It's not the IC. I can't remember what it's called.
Steak dinner, Connor.
Yeah. I'm not saying it will happen. I wouldn't be surprised.
We're adults. We're not surprised by anything, are we?
I'm surprised I'm still alive.
I watched you in a movie on Sunday, and you looked genuinely shocked, and you knew what was happening.
I'd already seen it.
Yeah, so
I wasn't shocked. I was excited. Fuck.
I was shocked.
All right, next up, in more of a win for the little guy, relatively speaking anyway, The Invisible Man has opened up to $29 million and the number one spot on a budget of $7 million, and it's up to $50 million internationally. Now, that is a pretty big win for Australia's own Lee Winnell. This movie was shot in Sydney. We've all seen it. I'm not going to play too coy about this. I think this movie is well worth the reception it's getting.
Yep.
I'm very happy to hear this. This is compared to pretty much the exact same opening, a couple million more for The Mummy, the Tom Cruise Mummy a couple of years ago, except that was on a budget of $150 million. So Universal is fucking finally on some semblance of the right track here with their defunct dark universe. Because
they've done two things right, which is that they've
made a good movie,
scaled back the kind of
budget,
glamour of it, the budget of it. But B, they've made a horror film. I mean, this movie is genuinely tense.
Yeah.
Like it's, so, I mean, not surprising that they've gone and had a better reception for this one than they did.
And overall, I think the most important thing is, of course, as I said, they've made a good movie. They've made a movie that got a B+ cinema score, 89% critical Rotten Tomatoes, 90% audience score. It's being very well received, deservedly so. And it's just really nice to see, because, Upgrade, of course, was made for absolutely nothing. Lee Winnell's last film also made absolutely nothing, I'm pretty sure.
But also very well worth going to see.
100%, yeah, which is why it's good to see something in a similar vein getting the attention that you want to see.
Yeah, it's just awesome to see. And this was shot, have we already mentioned that this was shot in Sydney?
Several times.
Really just a massive... It's just awesome to see. Just awesome to see. And one of my colleagues actually said he saw... I mentioned that I saw this last night, and he's like, "Oh, Elizabeth Moss is in that." And he's like, "Yeah, that was shot in Sydney, right?" Because he saw her out on the town, sometime last year, and it was, those sort of little cool little loops that happen in life that tie together. And I just love. I think you can kind of see it in the film that it was shot in Australia.
So many Australian actors, which was always fun to see.
Anyway, go check out the review.
Yeah, and following on more box office news, Sonic the Hedgehog has risen to $266 million worldwide. Now that was on a pretty decent budget of about $80 million, but that's
is that before or after reshoots or
the estimated full budget is like 80 to 90 something million, but that's a huge success for them. Given where we all certainly would have assumed this movie would have performed.
Oddly enough, I'm not wildly surprised that it's done well in the box office.
But to the point where it had the best opening for a video game film ever, I think that is shocking for a movie that was the joke of 2019, apart from Cats.
Sorry, just going off topic here. Did we talk about how the production house that redid all the animation went bust?
No, but that's unfortunately.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Because of this?
Well, I mean,
That's-
you're assuming
That's the industry.
assumed.
That's the industry now.
things come and go in 18 months.
It's horrifying, yeah, because they're all working on these projects. They all get laid off at the end of it after working their asses off, and then they just have to hope another job comes around. And if it doesn't, the studio's fucked.
It's insane. So, somebody won here, Skydance and Paramount. But hey, little guy loses again, huh?
Well,
Fuck the man.
It's not even just the little guys. Like ILM, they suffer from this too, and they're the biggest guys in the game. It's the reason they have these they try to protest at the Oscars and stuff and just get played off because no one wants to admit that they're just fucking over these effects houses so hard.
Well, because they're all undercutting each other so they can win the project at the lowest cost, while the studio's going to
The
go.
overage that they put into these projects is fucking
The overtime
ridiculous.
must be insane.
Crunch, baby.
18-hour days, easy.
Yeah.
Crazy. So sorry for derailing that.
That's fine. I always feel bad when we sit here being like, "Oh, the special effects are so shitty in this movie." I always feel the need to clarify. Like, I'm sure the artistry was there. I'm sure they ran out of time.
If they had all the time in the
money.
world, they would be flawless.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They are all artists.
Who was it that they had it on, the guy on Cordo Crew, the guy that did Shazam, the director. And they actually specifically called that out. He goes, if you see bad effects, it's not because they're incompetent. It's because they just ran out of time.
That was a great episode.
David F. Sandberg, he's such a cool because he started on YouTube with short films essentially.
Yeah, and he's been very candid about the challenges that you face as a director and how, like, he had that whole YouTube series on, like, was it YouTube series or was it an article or something about the, filmmaking is just problem solving. Like, it's just, oh fuck, we fucked up here. How do we fix it? Do we do it in post? Do we do it in, like, all that kind of stuff? So I always appreciate his perspective on it. It gives you a little bit of, I guess, perspective.
Yeah.
If I could just circle back quickly to The Invisible Man, because I feel like I'd be remiss not mentioning. I feel like I wish I could have walked into Universal Studios and gotten the $2 million that they probably paid some dickhead to just say, why don't you just get Blumhouse to make this? Because obviously that's what they did, and that's what worked. And now Lee Winnell has got like a first look deal with Blumhouse, so he's
For
sitting
two-year deal, right?
He's sitting so pretty right now.
Yeah.
So good.
Good
So
on him.
nice to see. He's really coming to his own. And he's really improved as a director.
Yeah.
Everything
saying
that's in
something.
Upgrade that works well there is kind of amplified in Invisible Man. Which does bring me to a point that I made about the Safdie brothers. Safdie? Yeah. Which is that if you watch Upgrade, it will become fairly obvious fairly quickly that it's the same director. I got serious Upgrade vibes from that, and it does bring to mind that his next film, I kind of would like to see him tackle something else. Or at least try a different style. Well,
if Universal has anything to say about it, he will not be. He'll be
This
making
is your-
Dracula or Invisible Man 2 or something.
This is your box. I mean, I wouldn't mind him doing Dracula.
I would love to see him just running his own dark universe. Fucking go for it.
Totally.
100% behind that.
Upgrade and Invisible Man are quite different, in my opinion.
There are some stylistic similarities.
There's
but yeah, I
stylistic
agree.
obviously echoes,
similarities, like-
and there's specific scenes where you're like, hey, that's that scene.
Yeah.
But one's a
You're like-
fucking gnarly balls to the wall action thriller, and the other one's just an
Psychological
amazingly tense,
thriller, yeah.
psychological horror thriller.
There's one, I guess, motif that is like
I know what you mean.
very effective.
But I like
But
that
I
it's
would
just
hate
like a
for it
little
to be
thread that ties it rather than like... I'd see the Safdie brothers argument is more clear to me than...
Yeah.
Well, there's more of a parallel between those two
Yeah.
pieces.
Good timing.
What time is it?
Good times.
It's trailer timing. Like that.
I did not.
Take 2.
Episode 1.
All right, trailer time. We have 5 trailers for you today. First off the list is Candyman.
Candyman.
We don't have any mirrors here, so it doesn't really work.
Oh yeah, shit. Careful.
I don't know what it is about this trailer, but I'm not 100% sold.
I didn't like the bit at the end with the Destiny's Child
Say
remix.
my name.
They're trying to do
Really?
what
I'm
they
always a
did
sucker for
with
that.
Us.
the Us.
I got 5 on it.
I got 5 on it.
Yeah.
They totally trying to do an echo of that.
I can see it's it's a cute pick for a song, but yeah, it doesn't
quite work. But I really think this trailer looks fun, and
seriously, in the space of like 1 year, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II has gone from like, oh, I really like that guy in Aquaman to like, I want to see this fucking thing because he's the coolest dude.
yeah, I'm in.
Yeah. So if I can just take the mic for a second,
Mic check.
I remembered Candyman as being one of those very iconic covers from the video store when I was a kid. You know, I'd see that hook and the bloody ham and all the bees and everything. And it was a movie I'd never seen until I decided to watch it today in preparation for
really?
this. Yeah.
Cool.
1992. It was amazing. I absolutely loved it.
Fuck yeah.
It instantly starts with this kind of amazing, these like huge like helicopter or tracking shots of Chicago to this beautiful Philip Glass score, like this symphonic, like really
Just Glass do it. Cool.
unexpectedly cool score. And just went from strength to strength from there. It was so not what I was expecting. I really pictured kind of I'd heard it was kind of a cult classic in its own right, but I was just kind of expecting a sort of, slasher monster. This guy's just around killing people. You say his name in a mirror, he turns up and kills people. But it was actually really much more kind of psychological and psychedelic and very socially, culturally, racially minded, which for a 1992 movie really surprised me. I feel like it was way ahead of its time. And especially reading the differences between the original short story from Clive Barker, because that was just about like a white dude in London who was the Candyman who was going around killing people. And they really added this whole racial element that feels like something Jordan Peele would be doing now with this sequel, which I thought maybe they were adding more of that when I watched this trailer. But no, I feel like that was all there in the original.
Fuck, dude, I gotta watch this.
So yeah, I really highly recommend it. And I think you will get a big kick out of it. And I'm really keen to see what Jordan Peele as a producer can do with this franchise.
Dude, I'm just looking at the Wikipedia page right now, and the main poster looks so sick from the 92 one. This was one where in high school in prep school when I lived in England. This was in year 4.
Fucking all right.
We in prep school.
Candyman.
Where art thou, Candyman? Show yourself, you peasant. We used to do it in the mirror, and so this film was always one of those things that we all knew about, but I haven't ever seen it.
Yeah,
I don't think I've even seen a scene from it. So
we did Bloody Mary over here. Did you have a different thing?
Yeah, we did that as well. Yeah.
Oh, jeez, you fucking
we had it all.
brave little
We had
bastard.
5 other ones that you guys don't even know about. So,
they're even cooler and gnarlier.
but I'm not going to mention them.
No, it's not 5 times certainly. So yeah, not totally blown away by this trailer, but I think there's a lot of cool stuff in there. Yaya's amazing, and Nia DaCosta, I think, is the director of this. I've heard her last movie was really cool. I'm very keen to see this.
And Tony Todd's back.
Yes. So yeah, this is definitively a sequel.
Oh, okay, cool. Nice one. There was a few other sequels I can see here on the Wikipedia page. Candyman, Farewell to the Flesh, 1995.
And Day of the Dead, I think.
And a few other ones.
It's so funny. I was looking to watch it today, and on I think like Stan, I could find the second one. On Amazon, I could find the third one, but nothing had the first one.
All the licensing deals gone amok.
Yeah, so insane.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. Very excited.
Cool.
Yeah, for the win. What
Sorry,
about
just
next,
a random factoid about Yahya. He's an architect as well.
Oh, for real?
I'm kind of...
He looks like he could build
He's
a
got
building
about-
by hand.
Yeah, I was going to say he designs it and then he builds it by hand.
Yeah.
That's fucking great. Oh,
He's a
sorry.
Renaissance man.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. What was I doing? Right. Yeah.
We have a podcast.
All right. Number 2, we have Artemis Fowl. Have either of you read the books?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Do you remember the book at all?
I was reading it this morning, actually, in preparation for this podcast.
You are lying to me.
Yeah.
I actually did read the books, and I quite liked them at the time.
I loved them when I was a kid,
like-
but I think I only read the first 3.
Possibly. I can't even remember how many there are.
Now, we saw the first trailer for this a long time ago. I think this
like a
got
teaser
delayed
trailer,
quite
I
a bit.
thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we were all very unimpressed.
Yes.
Have you guys been turned around?
Dude, the
Ew.
best, the most fun we've had today, or at least I've had today, was Connor and I's audible, simultaneous. Whoa!
Ooh.
Yeah.
When the spinning disc,
Was the
sort of
spinning
going
disc and
around
the kid Artemis coming out in like the suit. Like, there's something about a kid in a suit acting cool. You're like, you're never
No.
gonna make the kid cool.
It's like
not
that
gonna
mean
happen.
kid on the dance floor, you know, the kid dancing. I'm like, is that
That kid's cooler.
yeah, like fuck Artemis, get that guy in. Yeah, this seems like quite different to how I pictured the book in my head. Maybe it's just
Yeah.
been that long, but I can't sort of see.
No, I've heard a lot of rumblings about this being a massive departure for the character, in so much as he's more of a villain in the books, or
Yeah,
a
his
thief
whole thing
or
is
something.
that like
and in
he's
this,
an
he's like
evil
a
genius.
he's trying to be like a world-saving hero in this.
I was so weirded out because my memory of the book might be hazy,
Yeah.
but I was pretty sure the whole thing was that like he was evil.
Mm.
Not evil, but like he was a villain.
Yeah.
Like that's the hook of it, isn't it? Or am I thinking about something else?
No, that's what I've heard described as in the reaction to this trailer.
This
Yeah,
trailer.
it's a criminal mastermind, Artemis Fowl II. That's literally his title.
Yeah, when a villain as opposed to like he would like
Villain in the sense of like when you watch like
Criminal
a heist
mastermind,
film.
yeah.
When you watch a heist film, the protagonists are criminals.
yeah, sure.
And I say villain because it's more fanciful than that.
Yeah, he wasn't the villain, he was the protagonist, but he was on the wrong side of the law.
Yeah, I was thinking more your Despicable Me types.
Yes, who is literally a villain.
Anyway, I think we're all on the same page that this looks wildly different to the book if you have seen it.
and really bad.
Really uninteresting. This looks like makes Percy Jackson look like Oscar-winning material.
Yeah, this made me very much think of that fucking London is a car and it's eating other cars.
Yeah, it was like that 2009 to 2012 sort of fantasy era where everyone was trying to piggyback off Harry Potter and Twilight and just getting so much junk. Aragon, do you remember Aragon?
Remember Aragon?
Like all that kind of crap. You know, this has got that sort of stank all over it.
God, it does, doesn't it?
And I will not be reviewing this film. I will, just so at least I've got one more for the bottom of the year. Just so that box is, that's all this would be.
It does
for me,
feel
a
as though
box
it's heading
tick.
in that direction, doesn't it?
Yeah.
They honestly, and these films where they have this score and then don't tell me what the fuck is going on with the movie, and they just show scene, troll, giant thing falling down, other location, somebody else talking. Like, I don't care. Give me something to fucking latch onto with a story, a character beat.
Weren't you sold by the little kid walking in the suit with the sunnies with the hip hop song playing?
Fuck you.
I gotta say, Nonzo and Nonzi, the guy that's playing the bodyguard, looks terrible.
Oh no.
Like,
I don't mind the design. It's just executed badly.
that's what I mean.
There was Josh Gad playing a giant dwarf. Did I
Yes,
hear
he
that
is.
correctly? I
Yes.
think I remember you mentioning that last time we talked about this. That's a
Potentially,
really
yeah.
fun little concept.
That makes me
It's a
sad.
fun concept, not quite so fun in
I don't
execution.
think anyone was picturing Josh Gad, I'm sure.
Let's move on swiftly.
He didn't actually use any makeup for that scene.
Yeah.
Ha 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 ha.
That's a joke.
Number 3, we've got a trailer for Saint Maud. Maud.
Mood.
Is this a
Nude.
good reflection of the final product?
Too good, in fact.
It's one of those trailers that's like, yeah, when you see it after the movie, you're like, oh, this reminds me so much of the movie. I love it.
Yeah, but if I were to watch this having not seen the movie, I just think they show too much. I think they give a bit too much away.
I think saying they show too much is giving that too much power. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I'm coming at it from
because it
someone
was
that's watched the
exactly
film
because it
and
was
I know
very
the
a lot of
context
images
of
quickly
each-
without context, and
Um,
I think it sells. It definitely doesn't sell the pace of the film because it's quite languid,
Yeah.
but it does sell the tone and the feel of it quite well.
Nice.
I'd agree.
And like I'm much more of a sucker for those pull quotes coming up on screen because
Yeah, I feel like this is a bit strange. Like I don't remember the last time that I reviewed a trailer for a movie that I had already seen. It's a very different experience because you know the context of each single shot, and you're like, oh, I can't believe they showed that.
Yeah, I
How's this
can't
looking
wait
to
to
you?
see this. Cannot wait to see it.
Yeah.
Such a shame. Such a shame.
Such a shame you were asleep.
When is it getting a
He
wide
just
release?
glossed over that one, didn't he?
Pretty soon.
April, I
It's-
think.
Yeah, you,
So-
you don't want to hear about my Sunday, man. It was not a good day.
I do want to hear about it now. Let's do a separate podcast. Let's do a review of your Sunday.
Yeah, well, I mean, we should be talking about life a little bit more. Life, movies, and the beauty in between.
My life is movies, so
Maybe that could
I'm
be the
already
new tagline.
got it covered.
Oh.
Life, movies, and the beauty in between. New
Oh.
show, new name for the show. I love it.
What's number 4?
Number 4, our final one. Actually, I lied when I said we had 5.
Wow.
I
Is-
love that executive decision.
Okay, yeah, fuck. I'm not talking about that trailer. It was dumb and it's not worth talking about.
Which one?
I'm skipping it.
No.
Transformers War for Cybertron.
Oh, you
We're
should
not
have
talking
left
about
it. You should have
Never,
had this
never
mistake,
spoken.
and then
I'll
everyone.
edit it. We'll
and then
edit
everyone
it out later.
I'm gonna talk about it.
No, because it's dumb. It's
It
not,
is dumb.
worth-
It is dumb. Netflix is making a Transformers trilogy. It must be like 3 episodes or something, like 3, like kind of like what they did with those Godzilla
Anime.
animated movies. And I just think it's interesting in that this is the inverse of what the movies do, which is taking the lore very seriously and telling the story that presumably the fans want to see, whereas the movies are just a ridiculous, expensive piss take generally. That have moments of pretending like any of this is legitimate. But obviously you guys think this looks garbage or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, man, I was thinking
I can't
to myself,
believe that
if
you
I
broke
was
us into
6,
talking about this.
I would be on fire right now.
Yeah.
So it's not for me, you know.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, Transform. Yeah.
But do you
That's
think there's any mileage in this franchise to do an adaptation like this in more of like a mainstream sense? Like if they, instead of doing these Michael Bay kind of jokey fucking action, almost parody movies, do you think they could do something like this legitimately with the franchise?
No.
I think that.
It's a franchise about transforming robot cars.
Listen, I have no qualms with saying that the level of respect you can give it and the sophistication, it could, the barometer, any scale can happen and they can make it work. It's just, does the mass market latch onto that? And is it a good business decision? Because, you know, you make like a Chris Nolan Transformers movie, I don't think the mass market goes for that. Like, that's the kind of Transformers movie I want to see.
Wait, sorry. Do I need to repeat? This is about sentient cars that transform into robots, and you're talking about a Nolan-esque
You're distilling
film?
it down to, you
To
know,
what it is. What are you talking about? That's what it is.
I can't wait till next time you want to talk about Harry Potter, Connor.
I mean, but that like
yeah, it's a wizard kid, man. It's like it's bullshit. You know, you come in with that kind of attitude, you can
Anything can
make
be- anything can be good.
the
It's
whole
a fucking
point-
guy in a desert and he's got a ship.
Yeah,
and
but
he
I wouldn't
blows
want to
up a
see
ball.
Nolan
Fuck
do
that.
Harry Potter.
Oh,
That would be fucking
that'd
dumb.
be fucking cool.
Like you take you take all the magic and like
Harry
fantasy
Potter.
out of it. Like this is the whole point.
So I think I feel like there'd be a
Transformers
large
is dumb.
sect of
I love
Transformers
this.
fans. I feel like there'd be a large sect of Transformers fans who, whether misguided or not, would say they would want a version of these movies that is just focused on Transformers, on Cybertron, no human kid
sure.
Uh,
character.
Makes sense.
I feel like I quite liked the Cybertron stuff at the beginning of Bumblebee. I thought that was really cool.
Amazing.
Do you like? I guess a very simple, quick question: do you think you could make a movie like that
Yes.
and have it like be successful,
Unlikely.
or good,
Unlikely.
and
If
successful?
you go for the demo, 4 to 12, and you're not necessarily doing like as you said, a Michael Bay with the kids in it. You're doing purely animation. It can definitely be done. But you have to position it. You have to position it at that younger audience because what you're about to say, I'm going to agree with it already.
Yeah, I mean, it's like this is that movie that you're talking about. Like, how does this differ from what you're talking
This
about?
looks a little bit darker in a way because they're going for the anime vibe. If it's not like Dinobots, like CGI thing. They're giving it an anime.
Then you're
so
talking
they're
about the
giving
original TV show. I mean, the
original TV show was a garbage toy commercial,
it's
though.
That's what this
80s.
is.
But look at this trailer. They're clearly trying to take it more seriously than that.
A little bit.
I think they're giving it quite a serious tone with that anime vibe.
Comparatively to that, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But I mean, like, I
Even
think that's
more so than
I think-
Robots in Disguise and those other ones.
I think that this is the best case scenario that you're getting with an animated, animated series or movie that takes Transformers, quote unquote, seriously.
Yeah. Anyway,
This is
sorry to
gonna
get
be-
us too off track. I just find it fascinating because I feel like these are the questions that Paramount is probably asking with the franchise in kind of a weird space at the moment.
Yeah, I think.
And they probably don't want to be making more of these Bay ones.
if you do live action, in terms of, I just don't think you could do a Cybertron movie in live action.
Mm.
I mean, even if it's like completely CGI, I'm saying live action as in like
Presumably it would be.
the same way that
Lion
Optimus
King.
Prime in the Bay movies was
Yeah.
live action. I just don't think that people will have that much to grab onto, and like it would feel too cold. Optimus Prime on
cold
his
world.
own doesn't really evoke much sympathy in my like when I watch those movies.
I think
Him
a
on
lot.
his
I think a
own.
lot of people who grew up with the original animated movie would take you to task on that. But
I mean, but
that's
again,
a matter for the comments.
That's coming from the animation. I think you need animation to make that kind of project, to make that kind of IP work. Animation has the ability to soften the characters, right? There's much more like I'd say facial animation in that in the original series that gives you sympathy towards that character than
he's a truck. He's got like a big faceplate on. There's no facial animation.
I mean, I'm trying to think of like the best way to describe this.
Doesn't matter.
It's
None of us
easier
are
to
ever going to watch
sympathize
this.
with an animated character than like something that looks like a robot.
I'm so glad we decided to talk about this.
I'm so unhappy with this.
What's the next trailer?
Some other,
Son of a bitch.
something not as good.
Final trailer. Amazon's Tale from the Loop. This looks very interesting.
We're under attack.
What the hell is going on out there?
This ties into my Sunday night.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
What was the trailer again, mate? Can you fucking speak
Tales
up
from the
a
Loop.
bit?
Tales from the Loop.
Tales from the Loop.
I
So-
have no idea what this is about, but I am
Intrigued?
100% intrigued. Yeah.
The reason that this was brought to my attention before I'd seen the trailer was that it's produced by Matt Reeves and at least partially directed by Mark Romanek, who did Never Let Me Go, 1 Hour Photo. He makes a movie like every 15 years and he's fucking amazing.
What a dude.
So I think this looks really interesting.
Technology in different eras or
I don't know.
something?
I can't even glean it.
Do you know what it-
Because
Because
kind
it
of
looked like
reminds
the
me of?
tech looked that girl. She's sort of standing on a car, and she's in a parade or something, and it looked like the 60s or 50s.
It did look as though there were different time periods in this.
Yeah.
It does remind me a little bit of what was that? It was a very similar concept of time loops that we that both you and me watched last year.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah, that one. Really low budget film called
Which film?
We'll edit it in later.
Yeah. This film. Yeah.
Flashes up on screen.
Yeah. If I haven't said anything, it's because
Makes
it's
me
been.
sad.
It's
Too lazy
the
to
directors
edit.
were Benson and Moorhead.
Yeah.
I remember that much.
There you go.
Oh, The Endless?
Yeah.
How did you?
Yeah.
Oh,
'Cause
wow.
Trying to
Yes,
find
it
actually,
is the endless.
you know what happened? I rented that film.
Hmm.
I was about 20 minutes in and I fell asleep. And then
Not
the next
surprising.
2 days, couldn't watch it. So the rental expired. But I'm really keen to finish that one off.
There you go.
Wow.
Should
That
we
mov-
cap
that
it off
movie-
with question
That
of
movie
the
really
week?
was endless for you, huh?
Cap it off with question of the week. Hey, listen, good comments this week, guys. We love hearing from you. I am going to make a commitment today. Here's the commitment. Every comment we get, I'm going to respond to them until it gets like too many. So if it's more than one comment, this is going to become
What
a
if it's like
problem.
clearly one of those
Yeah,
fake
if it's
YouTube
clearly
accounts?
one, yeah, that
Which
that
you
other
have
guy.
responded
Yeah.
to before.
Yeah, with like, yes.
That's the TPSB guarantee.
Like
Yeah.
this guy. Awesome video. Keep it up. Would you like to be YouTube friends?
I would. People are so friendly on YouTube.
Always.
So yeah, love hearing from you guys. Hit us up. We've got 2 questions from this week. We love it. You love it. Everyone loves it.
I love it.
Let's get into it. From our boy, downright superb, Drew Torres. What's up,
Hey, Drew.
dude? Here we go. Thanks for the recommendation of Keanu Reeves Side by Side. Yeah, no problem, man. We deliver the goods. No worries. Here's the question. If you were given the opportunity to develop a film from a major studio in a directing, producing, or writing capacity, what kind of film would you make? I think for me, initially, the one that sort of comes to mind is horror. because I love that. I love that sort of $5 million, small crew.
The return on
grungy-
investment, it's so good.
Yeah, man. The business side
You
of
would have
it,
to spend like $20 on your film to
the
make that.
startup-y kind of vibe, you're not sort of like you're doing this, everyone's got to sort of be multi-skilled and cover where required. I just think it's really awesome, and it's such great sort of, just great to see a collective of people doing this kind of stuff. But I think you guys are probably going to say horror, so I'm going to retract all that bullshit that I just mentioned, and I'm going to say, let's do a Star Wars movie. Come on, I know what to do here. Actually, Evangelion as well. That's a one that I
Crossover?
can make that work. I promise you. Kathleen, send me the script. Let's do it.
Have you actually thought about how you would adapt Evangelion to film?
Yeah, I used to think about it so much, man. Like used to for, I reckon months on end. I just used to think about how you would do it.
Have you done any casting choices in your head?
I mean, I probably did at the time, but
Because nowadays they'd all
everyone's
have to be
grown up.
Japanese. Yeah.
Everyone's grown up, so
Damn.
yeah.
You're absolutely correct. I would say horror because only for the realistic standpoint that seems to be what all the best low budget films really are. And also it's my favorite genre, and the movies that really stir up the most imagination in me are always horror movies, and I love to think what I or we with a group of people could do, trying to play a hand at that, and the money, the sweet money. But if we're talking about something specific, like a really specific property, like if I had carte blanche from Hollywood to just do anything, I would, since I know no one's ever actually going to do it, I'd love to see a Metroid movie. I would love to make that
Not
happen.
again.
Oh,
Go on, hurry up and answer.
Just hold my mic for me.
Oh, you're a mess.
Okay, I'm gonna hold it.
yeah. I'm leaving you out to dry.
This has gone poorly.
Yeah, Metroid, dude. That's the one to make. Who would you cast there? What?
Kristen Stewart, I said
Kristen
recently.
Stewart,
yeah,
that's
after watching Underwater, I mean,
100%
done
deal.
Yeah.
Connor.
Cool. Well, the studio is just falling apart, so I'm holding my mic.
Your end of it is.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good right now. Man.
yeah. I always thought I would try for sci-fi. A lot of my favorite movies are sci-fi, sci-fi fiction, but sci-fi fantasy.
Science fiction.
Yeah. No, I meant to say fantasy. Sorry.
I'm really into sci-fi fiction.
It's the next level.
But if I think about like movies that I really appreciate, and that I find endless amounts of entertainment for, things like I was just thinking about like Alien, or Blade Runner 2049, or the original Blade Runner. I always find that these movies are highly allegorical in the same way that horror often is, but like these are just kind of, I love the absurdity of some of these films where they just take concepts that are kind of at maybe the fringe of our society, and they just run with them and say, what if this turned wild? And sci-fi gives you the option to just do that.
What if trucks could talk?
Yeah.
Cars.
So yeah, I'd probably do sci-fi, but there's also been a specific property that I've always thought about how I would adapt. And it's actually in historical fiction, which is another kind of genre I really love reading about. A lot of my favorite books are historical fictions, and there's one that is called the Emperor series by Cold Igdulin. I'm not sure how to pronounce his first name.
I've seen the first one of that, The Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah.
Love it.
It's son of a bitch. It's basically a 3 novels that follows Caesar's life, right from when he was a kid. It's based off a lot of like historical facts, and then like obviously there's stuff in between that they just kind of fill in with fiction. But I was always really fascinated with the books, and I thought they were really well written, but written in a way that I could kind of visualize it in my mind really well. I was like, fuck, I would love to see this as in a visual medium. That would really fascinate me. It's basically built for HBO. I think it's very similar to the Rome series that HBO did a few years ago. But just with this particular, I just think that there's enough with that property that it would be really cool. So I'd love to be able to do that. Yeah.
3 people, 3 answers. How good's that?
Quick maths.
Hit us up with a question. Oh, actually, no, we got another question.
We've got another question.
Got another question.
That was
I jumped
quick.
the gun. Oh, it just came through right there. The power of the internet. Ethan Krieger, thanks for hitting us up, man. And I'm glad you didn't like scary stories as much as I did, because that is confirmation for that I was right. And I'm right about everything. And that's just as great. It's just really good feeling. Here's the question. Is there any genre you guys just can't get into? For whatever reason, I can't bring myself to get in to even care about the gangster, mobster, crime genres at all in general. Sorry, Scorsese and Ritchie. How dare you, sir? How dare you? Get your ass to the couch and go put on Goodfellas. And I don't want another comment until you've done that. No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry you don't like those kind of films, because they're some of my faves. If there's a genre that I can't get into, I've just been thinking about reading the question, not answering it. So
I've got one.
Yeah, you take this one.
I don't like. This actually took me a lot of thinking, because there's very rarely a genre that I won't at least have a couple of movies that I have enjoyed in. But I would say that the genre that I have enjoyed the least is gore porn. Like the Hostel, some of the Saw
Martyrs.
films. Yeah, stuff like that
Scary shit, bro.
it's not even that it's scary. It's just that
It just leaves me with this really dark, nihilistic feeling.
movies whose goal is to depict human physical suffering as accurately as possible and as intense and like an inventive a way as possible, it just doesn't interest me.
And generally with very little else to
Exactly.
say.
The main point of it is, look how gory this is. And I don't like, that's a bit different than movies like
Machete.
which is gory but also kind of schlocky.
Yeah.
That's different. Like
It's tongue in
Tarantino.
cheek.
Yeah, Tarantino violence is never just violence. And when it is just
Cartoony.
violence, it's like cartoony. Mixed in with some like, serious stuff as well. I still think one of the most violent scenes in a Tarantino film is that dog scene in Django Unchained, which is like such a tonal shift. Movies whose main purpose is to depict as accurate suffering as they can just do nothing for me.
A friend of mine just caught the Golden Glove at the FFFA the other day, which I thankfully was not able to attend. For anyone who hasn't heard of this movie, it's basically a German film about a real-life serial killer who killed a bunch of prostitutes in whatever year it was. And apparently it's just like, it's one of those real just extreme cinema, like Martyrs level fucking, this is a bad time through and
Martyrs
through.
was one of the worst times I've ever had.
He seemed very unsettled afterwards. I talked to a few people out of it. They didn't seem to find any real redeeming features for it.
Yeah.
It's just
Was it
does
the
nothing for me.
violence in it? Was it the gore? Was it the...
Yeah, just all of it, just the unrelenting depiction of horrible shit happening.
Yeah, it just doesn't hold any interest from me.
Tarantino brings it in, and it's just like a little accent. It's like that exclamation mark at the end of a sentence where it has that impact. You
And his
take
violence-
notice of it when it's just 90 minutes of just horrible shit. You're just getting battered over the head, and it ends up being like very just sort of what's going on.
And Tarantino's violence is often fun, Janet.
Yeah.
Because
I put that on every sort of 6 months, or
It's so
just grounds me.
look up
it's fun,
Quentin
Janet.
Tarantino talking to Janet. It's
Yeah.
good.
Oh, it's the best. It is the best.
But yeah, his violence is often so cathartic because it's like
Yeah.
bad shit happening to bad people,
Exactly.
not the opposite. If I can jump in,
in,
I'll watch pretty much anything. I generally will stay away from really extreme stuff like that because I'm just not interested.
I think it's the caveat that we're all giving.
But the things that I will never... I generally need like a science fiction or horror hook to actually get me really excited to watch something. But
yeah.
the stuff that it'll take me 6 months to put on, even though I've heard it's the best movie of the year, is generally like westerns and war movies. There you go.
That's not bad.
Connor's got the free roaming mic now.
Go on.
Yeah, westerns and war movies. I've
Westerns,
seen
really?
I've seen so many that I think are absolute masterpieces that I love. Nonetheless, I find it very hard to get excited to really step into one.
That was going to be my choice, westerns. It sounds a bit blasphemous because some of the greatest of all time have come from that genre, but I've never been like excited to watch a western, nor have I ever been as captivated. I remember my dad sat me down for Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and he's like, "All right, son, we're gonna watch my favorite movie." And I was like,
I don't remember your dad ever sounding like that.
That was actually pretty spot on.
What? It's like, when did he turn into an old British man?
it just did not work
Son?
for me. Just did not work for me. So yeah, westerns. It's sad because it's again, I want to be more intrigued, and the one that I've got to watch is The Searchers. That's one of Scorsese's favorites, and also Unforgiven. That's one I really want to check out.
That's great.
Ooh, Unforgiven's very good.
Yeah. So, obviously there's so many in there, but yeah, torture porn, that, and
Musicals you're a big fan of?
fuck musicals. Musicals shit me.
Yeah.
I really struggle to find a musical that.
I'm trying to think of anyone that I would recommend or that I've like really had a good time in.
Other than like Emperor's New Groove,
Yeah. Kids movies.
Aladdin.
Yeah, I mean like.
Well, there we have
Cool.
it, guys. Let us know your, answers to these questions and all that nonsense. And hit us up for a question next week. It's going to be great. Go check out our Invisible Man review. And we'll be back next week. See you then, Connor.
Bye.
We have a mic next week. See you next week, Benny.
Bye.
Bye.